Last episode, with 4 games left of the season, I left things with the possibility of a record-breaking Premier League season, surpassing Man City's total of 100 points and also going unbeaten. And it started, that last run of games, with this game here. A massive win against Liverpool, 2-1. Michael Bolton against his former club with 2 assists and a man-of-the-match performance. The first half was a very even one, but I do think we edged it out. In the second half, we took a very deserved lead through who else but Sam Fay, the man popping up in the box just before the hour mark. However, less than a minute later, they scored from the spot. And of course, a draw would have been enough to go unbeaten, but we don't do draws here at Rugby Town. We don't like to go drawing. We like to paint. We like to paint a picture, and pretty goals like that. Roger Rojas with that one there. There were 3 games left, though. And the first of those 3 games following on from the Liverpool game left of the season was this. Away against Fulham, a 4-1 win. Remember David Washington? Yeah, me too. He couldn't hurt me today. A couple of years ago, he cost us points that ultimately saw us finish second in the Premier League. I feel like we got a little bit of revenge in this game. Sam Fay with 2, Chelik and Bolton on the score sheet as well. And in the penultimate game of the season, we got this. A 6-0 win against Bristol City. An amazing result. Misiak with 2 goals. Rojas with 2 goals, Lehman getting us off to a flyer with a goal in the 2nd minute. And while it does mean that today we're back for one last game in the season, it's away against Tottenham, and a win here would take us to an incredible 102 points. The record in the Premier League is 100 points in the season. Man City did that. We have a chance today to beat Pep Guardiola's team's record and basically become the greatest Premier League team ever. As well as that, of course, we are going to be looking to end things on a further high with an FA Cup, a competition that we won last year. We've made it to the final again. We have Newcastle in that one. Let's run the intro and get straight into things. Yes, folks, how is it going? Welcome back to Puck to Prem. Today is episode number 111. It is the conclusion of the season, and it is 2036, and I'm ready to take on Tottenham. Now, you might be wondering, Jack, why are you making such a big deal about this? And the reality is that this, if we were to win and go unbeaten for the year, would be something that I don't think I've achieved in any previous Park to Prem. It would cement this Rugby Town team as one of the most dominant teams I've assembled on this YouTube channel in many a year. Of course, I still want to win the Champions League. We've got that still to strive towards. But in terms of domestic success, I don't think we'll be able to match up to what we've done this year. And I want to do the unthinkable. I want to win this last game. And in terms of the team to do that, well, you can see it on display here. Diop unfortunately picked up an injury to end the year, so he is not in the starting 11. Does mean that Sam Fay gets a run out in the striking area. I did see a fair few comments talking about the fact that Fay has 25 goals and he's only, come on, and started 25 games. Really important thing to mention with Sam Fay, and that is that if we actually look at the minutes played this year, you can see he's only played about 500 minutes less than Roger Rojas, despite the fact he's only started 25 games. Sam Fay has been the go-to super sub. You can kind of see their goal-scoring returns here. Not a world of difference between them. Of course, Fay has also been playing at centre attacking mid, and also been playing mostly against kind of weaker teams. We've used this guy as the ongoing super sub, the man who's rescued us points time and again. And to be fair, I feel like it's a role that he's really relished in. But of course, for this game today, he is going to be the starter for us alongside Rojas. In terms of the rest of the team, it is very much standard. Did have a couple of people question, Jack, who's Cesar Vasquez? You missed the January transfer special. You might have missed this. We signed him to replace Areco. Remember Areco, the Argentine guy? Had 19 crossing. Never forget, he went to Saudi Arabia. We got this guy in to replace him. And to be fair, Vasquez has done quite well, hasn't he? Since we brought him into the team in January. At 21 years old, maybe a little bit of room to grow, considering we signed him for £10 million and he's now worth 81 to 104 million. Maybe he's the next Enzo Fernandez. If Chelsea want to bid 100 million, I'll probably take it. Anyway, he's on the bench for this first game. This is a game that I expect us to win. We should be winning. Tottenham, in this universe, have just fallen off a little bit. On the flip side of things, you might notice that Wolverhampton Wanderers have secured Champions League football. In this universe, they had a tycoon takeover who a few years ago kind of pulled his funding from the team. But despite that, they've done better since he pulled their funding. It's a little bit of a weird situation. You can see their team here. You might remember Marcos, their striker. Can you remember Marcos? I looked at this guy many a time and I couldn't work out what position you play him in. I thought he might be a right back. Tottenham signed him for 19 million. They've decided he's a striker with 10 finishing. To be fair, we have established finishing means nothing in Football Manager, so he'll probably score against me now today. Now, of course, we've got this game, which I'm hoping we are going to at least draw in, and then we have got the FA Cup final. Besides that, there is going to be the end of season wrap-up and shebang. We've got to start talking about next year, the plans. You might have spotted some of my transfer plans as well over on the squad screen. I think Haddad is going to be leaving us in the summer. I think he's going to be leaving us. I've already signed a replacement. He is currently talking to Juventus. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. You know, Haddad's on the bench. I'm speaking about the dead before they've gone here with Haddad on the bench. And oh my word, what is that? What is that, Sam Fay? Yeah, you know what? Last year he didn't really do it as a striker, did he? And I started playing him at centre attacking mid. This year it's been the opposite. This year he's done the job at striker. Bolton, Misiak, Rojas. It's the old guard linking up. Just as a reminder, Rojas and Fay were in this team together in the Championship, and now they're linking up for goals like that. That was stupendous. It is actually quite fun when you look at the team with the likes of Lee Min, Bolton, Rojas, Fay. Players who are on the cusp of going unbeaten at the top of the Premier League. Players who we had playing for us back when we were in the Championship. That is absolutely mad to consider for just a moment. Although, you know what? Let's not get the party celebrations going just yet. You know, if the fans have been inflating beach balls and having a promotion party or a unbeaten season party, doesn't have the same ring to it, doesn't it? Lacks the alliteration. Maybe hold on those party celebrations for now, because it's 1-1 here. Our lead in this game didn't last very long. Wasn't quite as emphatic as the finish from Fay, but not a bad finish by Pecan for them. Corner, Marcos over it. I mocked Marcos, didn't I? I had the option to sign this guy, chose not to sign him. Is he about to punish us? The ball is whipped in. It is headed away from danger. Bonus throw is Luan Carlos, who's going to pull the trigger, and if funny, forced into a save. Marcos, though, with another corner. I mean, we've had one of these already. We've had the warning shots in our direction. Now we've got to try and deal with them. We clear the ball halfway, but Luan Carlos has a shot. Tamino has another effort, and Efoni is clutching onto the ball again. Okay, well, some good saves there at one end. Now, can we immediately go up the other end and score? Celik, Misiak pulls the trigger, forces Rasmussen into a save. Both teams look like they want to score plenty today. Celik on the far side. Can he get a ball of quality into the box? It's whipped in. Bolton's there. The keeper makes another stop. You know what? I was secretly hoping for a bit of a blowout in this game. You know, if we could get a couple of goals ahead away from home, would have been nice for my nerves. You know, I don't want to celebrate an unbeaten season in the league until it's done. And at the moment, it's definitely not done. And whilst this Tottenham team are mid-table, they have been criminally, I feel like, underperforming in recent years. They have got some real quality on their team that we've got to contend with. But as a reminder, we have quality too. We have Sam Fay, one-on-one, has two. The man who came through our youth academy gets his second goal of the game, puts us back in the lead right before half-time. Let's hope we can hold on to it because, well, I want this game to be nice and relaxing. Celik, and then again, Rojas putting in a perfectly weighted ball in behind. It's a second assist for Rojas as well. He and Fay linking up superbly, and that's a really nice finish at the end of it. And that is going to be the final highlight of the half. 2-1 Rugby Town. It's not been the most, well, exciting of games, but we are doing what we need to do here. I'm just wondering, do I want to make changes at half-time? I'm going to hold off for now. Of course, Fay and Rojas have been linking up in the final third, so their high ratings aren't so surprising. Alex at right back is putting in currently a 7.0 rating. I feel like if you're a defender getting a 7.0 rating and you haven't got an assist or a goal, you must be doing something right based on the way the Football Manager rating system works. Celik's picked up a little bit of a knock here, so we're going to take him off, and I'm going to bring in Neto. Elsewhere, Misiak's not having the greatest of games ever. Let's bring in Marky Anderson there, and I'm going to make another change in this game, I think. Ichikawa, off you come for Donald. Ichikawa did have a really good first half, and he wasn't necessarily playing badly here, but I've been giving Donald more and more football. Of course, Ken thinking about leaving the club. And if Ken's going to leave the club and he's not going to sign a new deal, Donald will be the man who steps in there. So I want to give him game time, just like I wanted to give Anderson some game time on off the bench. Immediately scores. Football Manager is one of those games where sometimes you don't really feel like you're having an impact on things. You know what I mean? It feels like you got a snow globe and you've shook it and then just stuff happens. Sometimes, like this, you make some subs and then instantly, whatever change you made results in a goal and you think, yeah, I did that. That's how I feel right now. Okay, 10 minutes left. I'm going to make a couple of subs just for the sake of it. NDIA on you come. Sneddon's on a booking. Don't want him getting sent off before the FA Cup final. So Bailey Salmon on at centre-back. NDIA, Anderson, the subs linking up. Donald is there too. It's the 3 subs to Fay. And that, my friends, if it's onside and it counts, is going to complete his hat-trick. Now the big question is it going to count? Are they really going to rob Sanfei of a hat-trick here on the final day? The answer is no, they are not. It is going to be 4-1. That is going to confirm the unbeaten league season. 102 points. That is a Premier League record, besting Man City's 100 points. Remember the song and dance when they did that? What kind of song and dance should we be doing to celebrate this? What a season it has been. I think it was Neto who could have been offside. Fortunately for us, he wasn't. 7 minutes of added time at the end of this game. Good news for us is nothing is happening in it. We are going to secure a win, and we are going to secure the unbeaten season. Emphatic second half performances. The subs that we made around the 60-minute mark really did have an impact on the game, actually, which is particularly pleasing. Hopefully Celik's injury isn't too serious, because I would like him in the FA Cup final. And here you have your confirmation. We finished 24 points clear of Man City, which is absolutely absurd. I mentioned earlier, didn't I, that Wolves have got Champions League football. They actually dropped on the last day of the season. They lost to Everton 3-0. Because of the way the coefficients work, fifth will get Champions League football. So they are fine, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Yeah, but they have bottled fourth there. I feel like I jinxed them. Okay, good news. Celik is out for 1 to 2 days. Great news. Sanfei, man of the match. Awful news. We have a new contract for Rojas wanted. Apparently, there's some teams that want him, and apparently because he played so well against Tottenham, he now thinks he's worth a load of money. He's currently got 3 years left on his current deal. In an ideal situation, we get to July, and then get him to sign a new deal that kicks in at the end of next season. I'm going to ask him to sack his agent. Not now, Roger. Don't ruin it for me. And you know what? He's not going to ruin it. The good vibes are keeping up. He sacked his agent. He might have missed a Panenka penalty last episode. Look at his attributes. Look how good this man is. Just as a reminder, we signed him for less than £1 million. £1 million for a man this good. And I mean, look how much he's improved as well since he joined the club. He's gone up 5 concentration. That is incredible. We get £38 million for winning the title. You can see here, 23 medals given out. Sanfei is going to be getting one of them. And elsewhere, in more good news, Roger Rojas has sacked his agent. So everyone's a winner, except the agent. And here you can see an official confirmation of the final Premier League table. Elsewhere, Crystal Palace relegated on the last day. Did it go down to the final day? It did. Bristol City won 1-0. Yeah, 1-0. Crystal Palace lost 3-1. And elsewhere, Southampton beat Liverpool on the last day of the season to also go above Crystal Palace. I'll tell you what, if you're a Crystal Palace fan, you are fuming there, aren't you? In this universe, Crystal Palace have not been relegated in the entire duration of it, so maybe a little bit of a surprise they've gone down. Sky Vink is their best player. I don't think he's good enough for our first team. Right, let's go do the FA Cup game. Speaking of which, that game is 6 days away. We are taking on Luis Enrique's Newcastle United team. Don't go anywhere. We've got to talk about that, and also some transfers right after, well, the match. There are transfers happening as well. I promise there's some exciting ones. Okay, game number 2 today, FA Cup final. A wet day at Wembley, allegedly. I mean, it's England. The weather forecast is probably going to be wrong. And as, of course, for how both teams made it to this competition, for us, it's largely been plain sailing, with the exception, really, of the game against West Ham, where we won 5-4 after extra time. 4-0 against Tottenham was great. Obviously, Liverpool last episode was a little closer than it should have been, but I feel like it was never truly in doubt. As for Newcastle United, they've been on a really impressive run, to be fair to them. Knocked out Bristol Rovers, knocked out Tamworth after extra time. To be fair, the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm realising they just scraped through every round. I was going to say it's impressive because they've knocked out Manchester United. They nearly lost to blooming Tamworth, who are in League 2. And actually, just while I've got League 2 on the brain, on the last day of the league season, Horsham, one of our affiliates, beat Chester, our other affiliates, and with that result, Horsham crawled out of the relegation zone on the last day of the year. If we just look at this, they were bottom for pretty much the entire year, and then they climbed out on the last day. I'm going to claim that the loanies we gave them really helped. Also, has anyone noticed that David Rogers here is Gilliland's identical twin? Someone should let these two know. They really should let them know. Anyway, with that minor distraction out of the way, let's get into this game. A familiar place to be. This is our second FA Cup final. In terms of team news, Celik doesn't require a fitness test, but we will keep a close eye on him. Sanfei is going to start up top. We only get 7 subs in the FA Cup, sadly. That does mean that Diop is going to come onto the bench. You can see here, passed a fitness test, could play 45 minutes if needed. I feel like we might need his goals in an emergency. In past FA Cup finals we've featured him. We've taken on Arsenal and Manchester United. United. It's kind of nice, isn't it, to just take on a different team today? At least I think it's nice to take on a different team today. Newcastle United are that team. They've got Caboni up top, who was the second top goal scorer in the Premier League for the season just gone. You might have also spotted they've got Archie Gray at centre defensive mid. Very good young English wonder kid at the start of a save game. Starts at Leeds. Yeah, I assume he's quite good in this universe. I was about to click on his profile, but a kickoff highlight has ruined all of that. It is Newcastle v Rugby, and well, we are going to hope that we get off to the best possible start. Fernandez lays it wide to Sanusi. He lays it to Enric, was that? Who lays it back to Fernandez. They're knocking it around with confidence here, Newcastle. They're meant to be intimidated, but they've not got the memo. And in fact, they've got the typical regen with a mohawk at right back as well. We really are in the future of a Football Manager save game. Sanusi scores. I hope it's offside. It is offside. Okay, that's a let-off. Newcastle started off with that pretty good chance in the disallowed goal. Since then, well, we've come back into this game. I was going to say, of course, as I say that, highlight begins. They're on the attack again here. Caboni into the penalty area. We shepherd him out wide, but Sanusi, the goal scorer, fizzes it in. And oh my word, Dennis Ifoni, anyone who thinks he's a phony, they don't know what they're talking about. That was an immense stop to keep this game at 0-0. Sanusi is now going to be over the corner, whipping it towards the back post. We might have more to do here. Huari gets it away. Misiak will clear it too. For a moment, I thought there was going to be a 2-on-2 at the back, but let's be real. Let's be relieved. We've got it away from danger there. And well, now I'm going to hope that something magical can happen at the other end. Rojas and Faye linked up a lot last game. Would love them to link up again here. Kind of need them to link up here, the two strikers. Huari, Ichikawa, Lehman with the ball. The Korean whipping it in, fizzing it in. It's blocked away. I think it was Faye who had the shot that was saved. That was half a chance. Halfway through this first half, Newcastle United yet to have a shot on target. I don't know if there's much we can read into that, but they are going to be looking to set that record straight. We've had a couple of chances of our own, but to be fair, nothing too significant. If you told me we wouldn't score inside the first half an hour, I probably would have been surprised. I feel like this is the kind of game we should be winning convincingly. Maybe our players are already on holiday. You know, maybe they thought, well, we've set the Premier League record for points, no losses, most goals scored in a Premier League season. In fact, I think it's the most goals scored in a top division English season ever, 132. The game said the previous record holder was Aston Villa with 128, which I feel like must be a really old school record from like the old Division 1. Either way, we've set that record, and now I just feel like the players... They're just chilling. They're just chilling. They've hit the crossbar there, or the post there. I've barely reacted. Half-time in this game, 0-0. 2 shots on target in the entire game. We've not been good enough here. Lads, I am far from pleased. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Again, I've gone for the approach there of do your team talk into the microphone and hope that the pixels hear you. You know, it's a flawless strategy. If we now score immediately, I'm going to claim that my team talk really is what inspired us. What are we doing, though? We've been bloody awful in this game. We need to step it up. There will be a temptation, I'm sure. Well, I can tell you, I'm saying that like I don't know. There is a temptation, I can assure you, to make some subs here sooner rather than later. Misiak wins it back well there. Rojas with the ball, holds it up nicely, lays it wide to Alex. Couple of options in the middle. The right back, I was about to say, could go on his own. Whether or not he should have gone on his own, slightly different proposition. Keeper parries it over. We have got a set piece, though, which I'm going to sit here with expectations they could lead to something, and oh my word, it actually has. Bolton heading it down into the ground, bounces into the back of the net, and Michael Bolton, what a signing he's turned out to be. Can anyone else remember where we kind of gambled a lot of the club on signing him in the Championship? I kind of broke the bank to sign him for £28 million from Liverpool. It was a season where we knew that we were likely to go up based on our league position. We took a gamble on bringing him in. I think at this point we can say that gamble kind of worked out for the best. He's done quite well there in terms of scoring a goal, although we do need to get things locked down at the back because Valentin Caboni can score. Second top goal scorer in the Premier League this year behind Haaland. I think that said it was his 28th of the year. The boy knows how to find the back of the net, and he found it very easily here. Well, we were ahead for, I think, less than 5 minutes. Not a great goal to concede. And if you were just wondering, how good is Valentin Caboni in this save game? You can see him here. He's barely played, actually, for Argentina. And actually, he's already agreed to move to Saudi Arabia at the end of his contract on a free. This is his last ever game for Newcastle United. despite the fact he got 24 Premier League goals. I don't know why they didn't renew his contract. Either way, he's trying to send them off with a gift of an FA Cup. I'm going to hope that he doesn't get that present for the Newcastle fans. Okay, I am going to make some subs here. Diop is going to come in for Rojas, who's been poor today. In fact, we will keep Diop on the right-hand side. Elsewhere, Misiak's been less than ideal. I'm going to bring in Marky Anderson. He had a pretty good impact in the last game, didn't he? When we brought him on. We need his creativity. We need Celik to put in a good set piece. We've scored one, and now we've scored another. It's Huari, and it's his 9th goal of the season, the centre-back. Remember going into the season when we were looking to replace Huari or Sneddon? Very glad we didn't. Very, very, very glad we didn't. We've not been the best defence in the Premier League this year. We actually have the second best defence, but when you look at Huari, when you look at Sneddon, between them and with the fullbacks we have, they have done the business and more this year. And actually today, we're calling upon the defenders a lot. We could be calling upon them again. Hello, is that Huari? Yeah, I need you to bail me out. Never mind, it was Michael Bolton who answered the phone. It's 3-1, we've just scored another corner. I mean, on the one hand, I feel dirty that we've just, set-pieced them here. We've proper Stoke City'd them with the set-piece kind of... lethality, I suppose. We've scored 3 corners. We've not done enough in this game, to be honest, but we have tall players. And it's like youth football. If you ever played junior football, in those years where some teams would have kids who hit puberty soon who were like 6 foot tall and you're 4'11". That's basically what we are to all the other Premier League and English clubs. Anyway, 4 minutes of added time at the end of this game. I was about to say they're going to come and go. No, Football Manager wants to throw one last highlight to end this season. Are we going to end it with one more goal? Diop there can't win his header. Beran with it. Of course, I'm saying that like this game is all wrapped up. Newcastle could score 2 and take it to extra time still. There's certainly time for it. Kaboni puts it in. Afoni, as the commentator says there, seizes possession. He's stolen it. He's got the possession in his hands, and now he's going to look to launch it long. Celik is under it. Can he win the header? He competes once. He competes twice. Bolton, fantastic ball to Sam Fay. What a pass that was. Fay loses control. Newcastle forced to go long. There is a degree of desperation in their attempts to get the ball forward here and just try and get 1 goal back, knowing they need 2 in the next 2 minutes. But we're on the attack. We're bringing it forward. It's Alex at right back again. He puts it into the middle. Celik takes it away. The flag is raised. I don't think it's going to count, sadly. That would have been the cherry on top. But you know what? We might not have won an FA Cup in a few years. We've now won 2 in a row. And whilst we have the Champions League left to aim for, between that and the Carabao Cup, they're the only 2 things that are kind of preventing me from having, I want to say, completed the save game. Completed Football Manager, maybe less so. But when you look at what we've achieved this year, domestic double, treble if you include the Community Shield. Can we include the Community Shield? Does it count? Probably not. FA Cup though, 2nd year in a row. Drink it in, enjoy it. Rugby Town champions. You love to see it. The board are delighted, Bolton's delighted, 2 goals from him here. He's now listed as a world-class midfielder. That just looks cool, doesn't it? World-class midfielder, we love that media description. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it, he's played for England. Did I mention that? That's kind of a big deal. It's taken him 28 years on planet Earth to get his first England cap. I'm offended it's taken so long. Look how good he's been consistently for us in the Premier League. Also, I did see the comments of yesterday's video. Lots of you wanted me to sign John Dix. I did try to sign him. Man City wanted 100 million. I do want to sign John Dix just for the name. He doesn't want to join me though. Maybe in the future. Anyway, that wraps up the final league game and cup game that we've just played. However, we are going to do a bit of an end of season wrap up. I need to get to the end of season review, and like I mentioned earlier, there is some transfer stuff already going on ahead of tomorrow's transfer special. Suppose it's worth acknowledging at this point, we've still got over £100 million to spend, and the wage budget has rocketed up as well. Yeah, we're now one of the big boys. You can see here, confirmation, the board set the budgets. I feel like these had already been updated after we secured Champions League football, but nevertheless, confirmation there, £3.5 million a week on wages. That sounds like a load, then you realise how much some of our players are earning and realise it doesn't actually go that far. I've just seen here as well, Ipswich Town have just won the playoff final, and Diego and Gallinetta played for them in this game. Look at this. I mean, Diego, I've told him, he went out on loan this year to Ipswich Town. I told him that if he got 15 goals, he'd be a regular starter for us. He's got 19 goals for Ipswich Town. I'm kind of tempted to offer him back on loan to them for another year. Like, he's developed quite well at Ipswich Town. He's not got a load of time left on his current contract, so I might need to renew it. But given the loan spell he's just had and the fact they've been promoted, he would just be guaranteed, I feel like, regular Premier League football with them. And as for Marco Gallinetta, I mean, this guy I don't think is a Premier League quality centre-back, and yet he's played 32 games for Ipswich Town this year in a promotion campaign, so he's clearly pulled his weight. I mentioned earlier, you might remember the goal scoring record. I did get these inbox items after that last league game. You can see here, we set a tally for 130 goals, beating a record by Aston Villa. Obviously, first placed, finally a record high for us after finishing runner-up 2 years in a row. Nice to win the Premier League. 0 defeats is a new record for our club. 102 points is a new Premier League record. Haaland to get the golden boot, but Sam Fay won Young Player of the Year. You kind of forget that Sam Fay is a young player, don't you? He's 22 years old. This man has been here playing regular first-team football for the last 8 years, pretty much. I mean, he generated at the club, and we just started playing him in League 2 immediately. Yeah, he's kind of maintained his level of performance, hasn't he? And now we do have the end-of-season wrap-up. You can see the FA Cup and Premier League trophy on full display. Guess the Community Shield doesn't count as a treble, sadly. You can see here, in terms of transfers we made this year, signing of the year went to Diop, who I feel like I've seen him getting criticised in the comments section a little bit. He did get 23 goals for us in 45 games, which doesn't sound maybe like the craziest of records, but he did have issues with injuries this year. You can see he actually missed a combined 11 weeks through injury, which is not an insignificant amount of a season. Like, really, that's about a third of the season, maybe slightly less than that, but certainly a significant portion. And yet, can't really call him a flop. When he played very well for us in the Premier League. In terms of players that we sold for the year just gone, of course, Riviere was one such player. We sold him for £50 million to Atleti. Didn't have a very good first season in La Liga. 6.87 rating. And you might remember, we signed Diop from Valencia. They then spent all the money they got for him, pretty much, on Karim Konate from us. They signed him for £72 million. He did get 5 goals in 8 games after Christmas. So not awful, just didn't play all the games for them, really. Don't think I need to show this again, but just as a reminder, 102 points. Let's just ignore this thing. This thing doesn't matter. The worst thing is, it's not even like Inter Milan won the Champions League. Like, they didn't make it to the final. They got knocked out by Real Madrid. Interesting to note that sponsorship, apparently it went down. It's the same amount. Broadcast revenue did go down this year, just not going on quite as long a European run, affecting the broadcast and also competition revenue. In terms of corporate and hospitality and also match day income, that did shoot up. Of course, we're playing in a new stadium, and I have just spotted over here, we've gone from continental to worldwide reputation. Oh my word, things you love to see. Here was our team of the season as well. I'm looking at this thinking, are there any shocks? Not really. Misiak, not in the team. Fay made it over him at centre attack in mid. I won Manager of the Month on 6 occasions this year. Did also win Manager of the Year. Sam Fay won Fans Player of the Year, Young Player of the Year, Song of the Year, like I mentioned, went to Diop. Roger Rojas, top goal scorer. We broke the record for transfer fee spent and also for transfer fee received. Shout out to Valencia. They were involved in both of those. And whilst I am a little bit critical, aren't I, of the manager timeline, let's just look at this. It says Invincibles. The game knows. We have completed an unbeaten Premier League season. That, my friends, is an achievement in FM. Lehman has been inducted into the overall best 11. 159 appearances for him. And here is, by the way, the overall best 11, if you were wondering about it. Any surprise inclusions here? Murphy and Goma leading the way with 356 games played. I think Sam Fay is going to exceed that this coming year. Board expectations for the coming year. Challenge for the Premier League title next year. Year after that, win the Premier League. And also latter stages of the Champions League. Yeah, I want to get that to that latter stages too. We really should be. And speaking of transfers, I suppose we should now talk about this. Haddad, I mentioned it earlier, he is leaving the club for 45 million. This deal hasn't actually been confirmed yet, but Juventus have made an offer. It's 30 million up front, 15 million in 6 months' time, which I was happy to take. I have already lined up a replacement, and that man is Korstam from Inter Milan. He's not the goalkeeper who was in goal when we took them on in the Champions League, I'm afraid to say. But this guy, if we compare him with Haddad, I think he is a pretty comparable player by all accounts. You might notice he's got a surprisingly low value, and that is because I managed to pick him up for cheap. £11 million for this guy to come in and be our backup goalkeeper. Super consistent performer, happy to be a backup. If I do just compare him really quick with Dennis, you can see I think Dennis is a step above him in all areas. But in terms of just a backup goalkeeping option, especially because Haddad's contract was up at the end of next year anyway, and I didn't want to lose him on a free. He'd been asking for £200,000. I think here Kortstam is just a good deal. Of course, in terms of first team starters, we've got Alexi joining us this summer. That is going to be something that we need to plan around. You'd think I'd have more of a plan than I currently have. I'm still figuring it out. We'll work out in the transfer special, won't we, once he arrives? And you might remember back in January, we agreed to sign Talarski. I'm pleased to report, alongside this guy, we've got 3 other really exciting young players joining us over the next 6 months. The first of those players is the most expensive in Unai Martinez. We have signed him for 17 million, which maybe is a little bit of a gamble, but I'm kind of just trusting my staff on this one. My scouts rate him really, really highly in terms of his potential ability. His mentals look good. He's got good heading, really good marking and tackling, I feel like, for a player who's only 17 years old. Mentals don't have any massive gaps in it either, and just given the outline of kind of this guy in terms of no weaknesses when it comes to his physicals, mentals are well-rounded, and the technicals he's got are pretty impressive, I'm willing to take a bit of a gamble on him. At 17 million, I think he could be really, really good. Alongside him, we have also signed a new playmaker, Dede. I'm going to call him Dede because that's the name that he has on his shirt. Who am I to question it? He will be joining us on his 18th birthday. We have signed him for an amount of money that I've forgotten. How much did we get him for? 12.5 million. Again, just a player that my scouts rated really highly. Have, of course, been doing our extensive scouting over the course of the I was going to say the off season, but just the whole season. You can see here we've got so many different kind of scout setups here, looking at different young players and just players that maybe we should be looking at. Some of these, I realise, just don't even have any results. Maybe some of these players are good. Either way, my scouts threw up this guy. They like the look of him a lot, and I quite like the look of him too. Loads of really good mentals. In fact, when it comes to the mentals, nothing below 11. Some decent technicals, not anything too crazy there. Physicals need some work, but I think for 12.5 million, given the potential, given the current ability, which is beyond solid, good business. And maybe of these new players that I'm signing, the one who I've got the most question marks about, Marco Corbo. It's like Marco Polo, but Corbo's his last name. That can definitely be a chance, I think. You know, one half the fans can shout Marco and the other half can shout Corbo. Either way, I've not just signed him for a hypothetical chant. I've signed him because he was available for £5.5 million. Regularly playing for the Italian under-21 team. He will be joining us from Roma this summer. Excited to see what he can do. Knowing that really the Champions League is the last thing to conquer, I am now trying to lay down some long-term roots here at the club so that when we do wrap up the save game in the next few years and I do holiday forward, the club actually has some young players ready to hopefully hit the ground and kind of add some sustainability. Of course, we've added some really great quality to the team, but I'm a little bit conscious that when it comes to these players, there's almost a generation of players here who are currently entering their prime that I'm going to get the most of. But eventually these guys are going to get old. I need to get some players in for them. You might have spotted as well on that squad screen there, Ken is still unhappy about his contract. And elsewhere, Neto has done a very FM thing. Neto's upset that I have not been playing him as a striker and as an advanced forward because I've been playing him at centre attacking mid. I'll be honest, I kind of forgot I made the promise to play him at striker, but despite the fact he's played a load of matches for us and played well, he's not happy about it and he wants to leave. He's told me he wants to go. I've told him, you've got 4 years left on your deal, sunshine. Get over yourself. I mean, hopefully he won't force a move. I don't really intend on selling him in, but you never know. If the right offer comes in, I'll have an ear open. Anyway, folks, this is going to conclude the end of season number 13. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, go down below the video, leave a like. We should be back with a transfer special tomorrow. How much dealing are we going to be doing? I don't know, really. I feel like our team's really good, but we'll go with the flow. We'll see what the vibes are. If there's any part of the team where you think I should be strengthening, any players I should be getting rid of, let me know down in the comments. Besides all of that, back tomorrow for more. I'll see you all then. I'm out.